Today we look back at an artsy field trip with Miss Elias, visit Miss Fitzpatrick in the Adventure Club, and give you your sports and weather update for the weekend. All that and more today, February 28th, 2020.
Welcome back, Devils. It's good to see you all back after break. The school musical just ended, but if you missed it, don't worry. The annual Tournament of Plays is coming up at the end of March.
Show dates are March 27th and 28th, both at 7 p.m. in the auditorium. Tickets will be on sale soon, so buy tickets for $5 from cast members in your class. The 28th will announce this year's best play, and all proceeds go straight to your class fund.
This past Wednesday, the National Honor Society had their annual induction ceremony, welcoming new members. The students in National Honor Society exemplify scholarship, leadership, service, and character in the classroom and in the community.
Miss Elias and her Murals class went on an artsy field trip last month, so we got to catch up with her and get the info.
I heard you recently went on a field trip to Worcester.
Yes, we did. It was actually the Murals class. I took a few kids to look at a bunch of murals throughout Worcester, which is part of the Powwow movement, which is an international arts festival that has people immersed in different cultures. So artists come from all over the world. This started in 2016 in Worcester, and they're muralists and graffiti artists from all over the world, and they do different murals in parts of the community, like Great Brook Valley, health centers, schools, where the community can engage in art without having to pay for anything.
So is there any meanings behind these murals or anything?
Well, some of them, yes, and some of them are just for aesthetic purposes. So in Great Brook Valley, where there's a high percentage of a Hispanic community, they put up a mural of Frida Kahlo, which is one of my favorite painters. In downtown Worcester, they put the smiley face, which came from Worcester. So it's dependent on the area where they put these specific pieces. But there are over, I think, 120 or so pieces that are, some of them seasonal and some of them permanent, around just Worcester.
Wow.
So it's pretty incredible. It's pretty awesome.
Cool. That's amazing. So how do you think your students like this trip?
I think they really liked it. We got to go outside and engage in art without having to go into a museum, be quiet, and so forth. We also get to go to Miss Worcester Diner, which is a historical eatery in Worcester, and it's part of the car that it's in is part of the Worcester dining car, which was made in the early 1900s.
Wow.
So it was a pretty interesting trip. We have a lot of pictures, and it was getting out for the day, and I think that they enjoyed the city. It's not overwhelming, so it's not like Boston, it's not too big, but I hope that they go back again and look around, and I encourage any student or anyone just to take a day trip there. It's not that far.
Miss Fitzpatrick is known as the school's French teacher, but she also runs an adventurers club. We talked to her to get everything you need to know.
Well, our club is the Dungeons and Dragons Club. It's called the Thursday Adventurers Group, and we meet on Fridays. There's a long story there. We play Dungeons and Dragons. Specifically, it's a role-playing game, a tabletop role-playing game, where one person, the dungeon master or the story master, which is me, puts together an adventure that is played by a bunch of adventurers/players who have character sheets
time to determine whether it may or may not
that talk about the character or the person that they're playing, and it says what you can and can't do.
do you want a character sheet so you want some dice in front of you?
Because I'm a giant nerd, and I thought that all the other nerds would like to come along. Although with the popularity of Stranger Things, the gamers, tabletop gaming, and especially Dungeons and Dragons has become a little bit more mainstream.
So this bold band of adventurers, otherwise known as the Six of You and Assorted Animal Companions,
I'm a squishy.
Well, there was this one student several years back, his name was James, who decided that since he found out I played Dungeons and Dragons and I wanted to play a game, that maybe I should run one for him and some of his friends. So that's what we did.
Valgorn the Goat and Valentine's Dale Bloodstorm, which is funny because Valentine's Day.
Oh, look at that.
Hey.
Specifically with our club, we have a very rich story background. We have done everything from climb a tower to being surprised by a raccoon in someone's backpack randomly. We've been caught in the rain, teleported into a dungeon randomly. One of our traveling companions is now a donkey. His name is Waffles. We keep track of our adventures in the Storykeeper's Journal. Every week one of our players takes their turn to take notes and write down things that we've done or said or seen during our game sessions. That way we're all sharing responsibility. At the beginning of the following session, we read what happened last time, and then we keep going. Yeah, everybody ready to make the sound?
What sound?
This week, we also had a teen driving simulator van come to our school to show students the dangers of unsafe driving. The simulator takes you through different driving scenarios, where you could be driving under the influence or distracted, and shows different outcomes and costs that come with risky driving.
Now let's toss it over to Alec and LJ for the weekly sports update.
Last Tuesday, the boys varsity basketball team took a hard loss to Maynard, 77-64. During the first round of the Clark tournament, the boys took on Parker Charter and got a strong win, 73-52. In the second round of the tournament, the boys played their rivals, the Narragansett Warriors, taking a hard loss, 74-52, eliminating them from the tournament. They held their first district game on Tuesday against Renaissance, taking home the win, 76-66.
For the girls varsity track team, Lily Digman placed third in the 600, and she is now moving on to New England. Paige DeMange also tied the school record for high jump.
On February 18th, the cheer team took place in a league tournament at Gardner High School, coming in second place, moving on to regionals at Shepherd Hill High School on March 8th. They also placed fourth last week at their last competition at South Hadley High School.
That's all for the Sports Weekly Update. Back to Patrick and Liana in the studio.
Let's check in with our student meteorologist Justin for the weather update.
This is your upcoming 5-day forecast. Last night we had a low of 20 degrees and it's only going to be warming up into the low 30s later today. Tomorrow we'll have a high of 27 degrees and a low of 11 degrees. Going into Sunday, the cold weather is staying with a high of 30 degrees and a low of 18 degrees. Monday will be warming up with a high near 41. Monday night we'll have a chance of rain around 10 p.m., then a chance of snow around 12. Tuesday will be the warmest day of the week, rising up to 48 and a low of 35. That's all for the 5-day weather. Back to Patrick and Liana in the studio.
Well, that's all we have this week. Enjoy your weekend ahead and we'll see you next week.
Be sure to like and subscribe and push the notification bell to be notified when we post next. Bye!